Solve by completing the square. 3z squared plus 2z plus 1 equals 0. Again, we're in a situation where we have a leading coefficient on the z squared, so we need to get rid of it by division before we do anything else. To do this, we divide both sides by 3. And when we do that, that gives us z squared plus 2/3 z plus 1/3 equals 0. And then we also have to move the constant term to the other side, which we do by subtracting 1/3 from both sides. This gives us z squared plus 2/3 z equals negative 1/3. Now we're in the proper form to complete the square. So let's look at the left-hand side. If we look at the coefficient on z, that is 2/3. If we divide that by 2, well, 2/3 divided by 2 is 1/3. So we've got 1/3, and then we have to square that. 1/3 times 1/3 is 1/9. So the number that we have to add to both sides of this equation to complete the square is 1/9. Once we've added that on the left-hand side, we have a perfect square trinomial, and we can factor it. When we factor it, it's going to be z plus 1/3 squared. Remember that the constant term is always what we get after we've divided that coefficient by 2. 2/3 divided by 2 is 1/3. So on the left-hand side, we have z plus 1/3 squared. And on the right-hand side, we're going to need to find a common denominator to add those fractions. When we take negative 1/3 plus 1/9, the common denominator is 9. Negative 1/3 is equivalent to negative 3/9. And then we have plus 1/9. And when we add those together, negative 3/9 plus 1/9 is going to be negative 2/9. And now that we have something squared equals a number, we can apply the square root property. When we take the square root of the left-hand side, that gives us z plus 1/3. And then on the right-hand side, we have plus or minus the square root of negative 2/9. Now we know that when we have the square root of a negative number, that negative will come out as an I. So this is the same as z plus 1/3 equals plus or minus the square root of 2/9 I. But there's one more thing we can do here. The numerator is not a perfect square, but the denominator is. So if we evaluate that square root of 9, we end up with the square root of 2 in the top and then just 3 in the bottom, because the square root of 9 is 3. And the last thing we need to do to get z alone is to subtract 1/3 on both sides. This gives us z alone on the left, and then on the right we have negative 1/3 plus or minus the square root of 2 over 3 times I. And this is our final and probably most complicated answer. We've got a negative number, we've got a square root, we've got fractions, we've got I. This problem has it all. And that's that.